Have you ever wondered what really happens after immigrants apply for asylum in Canada? Why are so many people, especially from Africa, being denied, and why do some wait years in fear and limbo? Today, we reveal the real story behind Canada's asylum crisis and what you're not hearing on the news. Introduction. Hope at the border. Reality inside. For millions worldwide, Canada represents the ultimate hope. A country with a reputation for fairness, safety, and welcoming refugees from war, persecution, and disaster. Every year, thousands arrive with dreams of rebuilding their lives, believing that the Canadian promise will protect them. For many, the journey to Canada is fraught with danger, crossing continents, escaping violence, or spending years in refugee camps just for the chance to start over. But the harsh reality hits almost immediately. Instead of open arms, most asylum seekers, especially those from African countries like Nigeria, Sudan, Eritrea, or Somalia, encounter suspicion, skepticism, and endless red tape. They are often housed in temporary shelters, subjected to repeated interviews, and told to produce documents that may be impossible to obtain due to war or government collapse back home. Families can be split up, and children are left asking if they will ever see stability again. The system is designed to be strict, but the truth is, it's often bewildering and harsh. Many applicants find themselves lost in translation, unsure of what's expected or how to navigate the complex legal and bureaucratic process. Those without English or French fluency are at a particular disadvantage, often unable to explain their stories fully or access critical support. For African immigrants, the challenges multiply. Statistics show they face higher scrutiny, lower approval rates, and longer wait times for both initial hearings and appeals. Stereotypes, language barriers, and implicit biases often work against them, making it harder to prove their cases even when facing genuine threats. Section 1. Understanding the Canadian asylum. Maize applying for asylum in Canada is nothing like what most expect. The process begins with a claim at the border or inside the country, followed by a daunting series of interviews, forms, and deadlines. Applicants must prove a well-founded fear of persecution, but gathering evidence is often impossible, especially for those fleeing war-torn or unstable countries. The Immigration and Refugee Board, IRB, is responsible for hearing claims, but it's overwhelmed. Caseloads have soared, and judges, known as members, are stretched thin. It's common for claimants to wait months, sometimes over a year, just for their first hearing. During this time, many live in shelters or temporary housing, unable to work or go to school. For African asylum seekers, these waits can be even longer. Research and reports consistently show that claims from countries like Nigeria, DRC, or Somalia take longer to process, often due to extra security checks or lack of trusted documentation. This means more time in limbo, more anxiety, and more uncertainty about the future. The legal system is another major hurdle. Many African immigrants cannot afford private lawyers and must rely on overworked legal aid systems, if they qualify at all. Lack of representation, unfamiliarity with the process, and language barriers make it easy to make mistakes or miss critical evidence. Even a minor error can lead to denial, sending people back to danger or years of appeal. Section 2. Rising denials. Why are so many asylum claims rejected? Recently, Canada has seen a dramatic increase in asylum claim denials. The reasons are complex, but policy changes play a major role. With pressure to tighten borders and appear tough on immigration, decision-makers have raised the bar for proof. Countries previously considered dangerous may be reclassified as safe, leading to blanket denials even for legitimate cases. For African applicants, the odds are even tougher. Many are denied not because their stories aren't true, but because officials doubt their documentation or credibility. Corruption, war, or chaos in their home countries often means there's no way to get proof of persecution, no police reports, legal documents, or medical records. This gap in evidence is used to reject their claims, despite well-documented risks if they return. Small errors, an incorrect date, a missed deadline, or even a nervous answer in an interview can doom an application. Cultural misunderstandings and implicit biases play a role as well. Some claimants report feeling dismissed or judged by officials who don't understand their backgrounds or trauma. The consequences are devastating. Families are torn apart, dreams are crushed, and people are sent back to situations of violence, exploitation, or even death. Appeals offer hope, but for most, it feels like an endless uphill battle against a system designed to say no. Section 3. Appeals. The endless waiting game. If an asylum claim is denied, the appeals process begins, a journey that can take years and feels like a marathon with no finish line. The Refugee Appeal Division, RAD, is flooded with cases, and new appeals are filed every day. With not enough decision-makers and too many files, the system moves at a snail's pace. During this period, most applicants, especially those from Africa, remain in limbo. They often cannot work legally, access healthcare, or reunite with family. Every government letter is a source of anxiety. Will it be good news or a removal order? Many live with daily fear that they could be deported at any time. African immigrants tend to suffer the longest wait times. Extra background checks, lack of available interpreters, and systemic delays all play a part. Some spend 2, 3, or even 5 years waiting for an answer, never knowing what the next day will bring. The uncertainty takes a serious toll on mental health and family life. The appeals process is complicated and demanding. New evidence is often required, and most have to navigate the process with limited resources and support. Many applicants find their cases rejected again on technicalities or minor inconsistencies, compounding their frustration and sense of hopelessness. Section 4. The human cost. Stories you don't hear on the news. Behind every file number is a real person, a mother, a father, a child, facing unthinkable stress. For African asylum seekers, the experience is often marked by isolation, trauma, and the constant fear of being sent back to danger. Some live in shelters for years, separated from loved ones, while children grow up never knowing stability or security. Take Emmanuel, a civil engineer from Cameroon. He arrived in Canada after narrowly escaping political violence. Despite clear threats against his life, his claim was denied over lack of evidence. With no access to legal aid and no way to obtain documents from his home country, Emmanuel has spent 4 years waiting on an appeal, living in a shelter, working odd jobs under the table, and sending whatever money he can to his wife and daughter back home. Women and children are hit especially hard. Many African women arrive fleeing sexual violence or forced marriage, only to find themselves re-traumatized by the asylum process. They must recount their stories again and again to skeptical officials, often with male interpreters who may not understand the cultural context or language nuances. The psychological impact is immense. Rates of depression, PTSD, and anxiety are far higher among African asylum seekers compared to other groups. Community organizations and faith groups step in where they can, but resources are stretched thin. The system that was supposed to protect has become a source of further pain and fear. Section 5. Why the system fails African immigrants. While all asylum seekers face challenges, African immigrants experience unique and often harsher obstacles. Implicit bias and stereotypes about Africa lead to extra scrutiny and sometimes outright disbelief of even the most credible stories. For instance, claims from Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Eritrea face higher denial rates and longer waits compared to those from Europe or Latin America. Language and cultural barriers further compound the issue. Many African claimants speak multiple languages or dialects, but may struggle with official paperwork in English or French. Poor interpretation or translation can lead to misunderstandings, missed facts, or mistakes that harm a case. This language gap is a quiet but powerful barrier. There's also the issue of resources. Many African immigrants arrive with little money and few connections. Access to quality legal support, advocacy, or mental health care is limited, especially in smaller cities or rural areas. As a result, they're more likely to represent themselves, miss deadlines, or give up altogether. Systemic change is desperately needed. Without more interpreters, cultural sensitivity training for officials, and fairer rules for documentation, African asylum seekers will continue to face an uphill battle. Their stories remind us, behind every statistic is a life worth fighting for. Conclusion and strong call to action. Canada's image as a global humanitarian leader is at risk. The stories of African asylum seekers trapped in endless denial and appeal cycles expose the deep cracks in a system that is supposed to offer hope, not heartbreak. For every family waiting in limbo, every child growing up in uncertainty, the stakes couldn't be higher. True reform means more than speeding up paperwork. It means creating a fair, compassionate, and culturally competent process that recognizes the unique struggles African immigrants face. It means investing in resources, fighting bias, and honoring the promise Canada has made to the world's most vulnerable. If this video opened your eyes, or you know someone struggling in the asylum system, share their story in the comments. Like, subscribe, and join the fight for justice, because change starts with awareness and collective action. Comment justice if you believe in a fairer Canada, or despair if you think the system is broken. Let's make these stories impossible to ignore and push for a future where no one is left behind.